What's going on, everybody? It's AG here. Moving on with my conference previews. Today, we're going to be moving on to the Big Ten and talking which teams can make the college football playoff. I've tier listed these out. We're going to talk all the teams from the long shots to pretty much the locks. Let's go ahead and get into it. While I move along, let me know down in the comment section which Big Ten teams you think will ultimately make the college football playoff this year. Starting off, let's just go ahead and look at all the teams in the Big Ten. You got Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan State, and Michigan. Minnesota, Nebraska, Northwestern, Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Purdue, Rutgers, UCLA, USC, Washington, Wisconsin. Strong year from the Big Ten last year. Ohio State won the national championship. Oregon, number one for the majority of the year. Indiana made the playoff. Starting off here with the long shots. So these are teams that very unlikely they make the playoff, but there is a chance they could somewhat go on a run. Starting off here, these are in no order. Iowa, we know they're going to be physical. They're going to have at least 8 wins. Kirk Ferentz always has his team ready to play. The only reason I don't have them higher up is if they couldn't make the playoff with the team they have had these last couple of years, with the running back they had, with the defense they had led by Jay Higgins, it's probably not going to happen. They bring in an FCS quarterback. We'll see how that works, but Iowa's in the long shots for me. Washington, we saw a couple of years ago they made the national championship, actually. This is a different team, different coach. They do have upside. Their quarterback showed some flashes and looks to be probably pretty good, but highly unlikely, especially moving to the Big Ten. UCLA, how about Nico? Not a terrible year last year, actually, for UCLA. They've improved. You've got a quarterback with playoff experience. Actually, you're the only team in the conference that can say that because everybody else's quarterback's gone. Indiana's quarterback's gone. Ohio State's quarterback gone. Oregon's quarterback's gone. So you've got the only quarterback in the conference that has played in the college football playoff in Nico. Not saying Nico has a ton of upside or even that he can win you a game by himself, but having that experience can definitely benefit them going forward in the Big Ten. Michigan State, Jonathan Smith kind of showed at Oregon State he can do pretty good. Michigan State's roster has improved a little bit. Chiles, a year older at quarterback. We'll see how they do. All right, so next category we got. So you're telling me there's a chance teams that aren't probably going to get in, but they have a lot better chance than the long shots we just talked about. Schedule might be a little more favorable. Team might be a little better. Let's go ahead and look at these. First off, Minnesota. Now, Minnesota probably the most slept on year last year. Like, they actually had a pretty solid year last year. They were honestly the reason the Big Ten probably didn't get more teams in because they beat Illinois. And that kind of knocked them back a little bit. But do me a favor, after this video, go look at Minnesota's schedule. That schedule's playing out pretty nicely for them to make a run of the playoff, kind of be last year's Indiana. PJ Fleck's going to do good at Minnesota. They're going to be competitive. And looking at their schedule, I like Minnesota's chances. I think they might have a chance. Nebraska, Matt Rule, this is the year everywhere he's been, whether it's at Baylor, whether it's Temple, this is the year that his teams start showing some turnover and start improving, getting to that double-digit wins. Every time he has reached this year, his teams have reached 10 or more wins. This might be the year that happens in Nebraska. You got Dylan Raiola back at quarterback, Patrick Mahomes wannabe. Can they make a run to the playoff? Going to be difficult. They're going to have to improve a lot. But we saw last year they were kind of shooting up the boards at the beginning of the year. We'll see if that happens again if they get some hype. Indiana lost a lot from that playoff team, and they had a good schedule. Let's be honest. I know at the end of the day they ended up being somewhat competitive in the playoff compared to a lot of the teams, but that schedule was nice for them to make the playoff. They've got a favorable schedule, but as much as they lose, I don't know. I kind of question it. They lose Curtis Rourke at quarterback. They've got a guy, Mendoza, coming in from Cal that is getting some first-round NFL draft buzz, so we'll see if he's legit. If he is, Indiana might be back in the playoff again. USC, I actually like their chances to make the playoff, but their schedule's a little more difficult, so I couldn't put them in the next tier that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But USC, I like their chances. Lincoln Riley, I know he gets crapped on a lot, but I'm still a believer. Their quarterback they've got, Maiva, actually looked pretty good in the games he played. I think he started 3 or 4 games. They only lost 1, and that was to Notre Dame. I was impressed with what I saw from him last year. We'll see now that he's got the full reins what he can do. But USC, I like USC this year, kind of a sleeper for me. So these are the next group that should be in. They're not quite locks. There's only 2 teams that are in the lock category for me, but these are teams that should be in the playoff unless all heck breaks loose. First off, Illinois return a lot from last year's team. Bret Bielema always puts out a solid squad, but last year was probably his best at Illinois. Luke Altmaier back at quarterback. Like I said, they were probably 1 loss away to Minnesota from making the playoff last year. They're probably going to be in, looking at their schedule and what they return. Michigan. Last year, not the greatest year, but they're going to have a good defense. They're going to have a run game. There is no way their quarterback play can be as bad as it was last year. You've got 2 options. Right now, it looks like it's going to probably be Bryce Underwood, the 5-star freshman coming in. As long as he's not just a turnover machine, I don't think he will be. As long as he's not a turnover machine, Michigan probably is going to be in the playoff. They have a favorable enough schedule. They're going to be good enough. And he doesn't have to take the top off the defense. He just has to probably check it down and do what's necessary and not turn the ball over, and they should be fine. Oregon. Now, Oregon's kind of a question mark for me. Their roster is talented, yes, but they lose their quarterback and running back and a ton of other pieces to the NFL draft. Now, they've got a G5 backfield, Donte Moore coming in at quarterback, previously at, where do you play, UCLA. We've got Makhi Hughes coming in at running back from Tulane. We'll see how they look. As good as they have shown in spurts, Makhi Hughes is legit, but Donte Moore didn't get as much run at UCLA, but the Big Ten's a different animal. We'll see what they're made of. Dan Lanning has proven he's pretty consistent with this team, so they should be in the playoff, but I'm a little hesitant. I can't quite put them in lock category because I need to see a little more from this backfield and kind of what they replaced the NFL guys with, but I can't put them lower than this because they're too talented and their schedule is more than favorable. All right, so we've got the locks. These are 2 teams. Penn State, last year, their roster, they should have beat Notre Dame. There's no reason they shouldn't have. Quarterback Drew Aller is back again. He looked a little spotty against Notre Dame, but their running backs are back as well, Allen and Singleton, and then you've added some weapons out wide for Aller, so he actually has some deep threats for once. Their defense is going to be awesome. They bring over Jim Knowles, defense coordinator from Ohio State. Penn State's a lock. Ohio State's the other one. Julian Sayin, question mark at quarterback, but this roster is talented enough. It doesn't really matter what they have at quarterback. They got to replace a lot of pieces, though, admittedly. Their defensive ends, JT Tomalolo, Jack Sawyer. You got to replace the running back room and Henderson. You got to replace Ibuka. You got to replace a bunch of pieces. But the good news is you probably have the 2 best players in all of college football in Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. Those 2 guys are good enough to get you to the playoff alone. Finally got the hump off Ronde's back. He can make college football playoff. He can win the national championship. Can they beat Michigan? That I don't know. But they'll be in the college football playoff no matter what the quarterback room looks like. But national championship ceiling, that's to be determined, but they're going to be in the playoff. So those are my current teams that I think can make the playoff out of the Big Ten. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments section. Who do you think that's not on this list should be? And who do you think that's on this list definitely shouldn't be? Who do you think officially makes it out of the Big Ten? All that good stuff. Comment that down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button for me. But let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe.